If I could just ask you another question or two about some of the evidence. We talked about Meta engineers saying that they realized what they were doing was crossing an ethical line, that they felt they shouldn't be doing it, but they had to cut some corners. Let me just ask you, did Meta ever try to hide what it was doing? Did it try to hide the fact that it was pirating these works?
What the documents show is that in 2024, when Meta began to use Anna's archive, it decided intentionally to not use its own servers and instead to go through Amazon Web Services in order to ensure that the seeding, the sharing of pirated works would not be traced back to Meta's own IP.
It doesn't sound to me like a company and executives that think what they're doing is above board. It sounds like a company that thinks that what they're doing is probably illegal in some manner, but they want to go on doing it anyway. Let me just show you a couple of documents, help us understand what we're seeing here. These are more Meta engineers now, again, working on AI. We've got the first one, Nikolai, who says, not sure we can use Meta's IPs to load through torrents pirate content. Ha ha. I emphasize, these are their documents. I mean, for all of Professor Lee's, and again, I appreciate Professor Lee making these arguments, but for all of Professor Lee's comments that we're not sure if it's really pirated or not, they thought so. This is Meta. Meta thought so. The next person says, the next employee, I'm curious to start looking at some samples, but I feel like we should get some clarity on what's allowed and how, smiling emoji. Nikolai again, haha, yeah, I think torrenting from a corporate laptop doesn't feel right. I mean, what are we looking at here, Mr. Pritt? I mean, is this an attempt to be above board and forthcoming and, you know, they think everything's fine?
I think that is a very difficult conclusion to draw from these documents. And with all due respect to Professor Lee, as I am still litigating the case against Meta on behalf of a group of authors, Judge Chabria in that case specifically declined to decide whether Meta's piracy, what it has engaged in terms of the downloading, the making available, the making additional copies and then sending those copies over 40 terabytes of data to other individuals, is in fact fair use. And no court, including the Supreme Court, has ever held that rank piracy is somehow fair use. And instead, the Supreme Court case law, the still law of the land, says that fair use presupposes good faith and fair dealing. I will leave it to you whether or not you think any of these documents shows good faith and fair dealing.
Let's just look at one other document and ask ourselves if this looks like good faith and fair dealing.